Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I once again congratulate the 10th Shanghai Forum, in Shanghai. Unfortunately, I didn't, bring my glasses, so I just, look at I cannot look at my, PPT, and I have basically 3 points to share with you. The first point is the background of the yuan and Korean won direct trade agreement in last year. This is one, and the second one is after having we started already one yuan direct trading from last December. So after 6 months, what is the new development, and then what is my interpretation of those phenomena? So my conclusion is that basically we expected a lot, very active RMB internationalization between Korea and China, but unfortunately we are still preparatory stages, and this is in some sense inactive yet. The first one is a background. From Korean side, I think that we have a couple of good expectations if we have a yuan and one direct trading. The first of all, we like to we have the experience of one internationalization, I think 10 years ago. This is one, and the second one is we have a Yeouido in Seoul, which pursue a lot of a lot of good efforts to become a regional financial center, and also we have good economic relationship with with China. Let me see, just one table which is summarized all. First of all, in trade, we have annually around 250 billion bilateral trade, and also we have a lot of human mobility, and also we employ almost half million Chinese in Korea. So there might be a lot of activities in between Korea and China that is working as a good basis to stimulate RMB internationalization through Korea-China direct trading agreement. And in current days, in very recently, there is another, I think, big phenomena, a direct investment from China to Korea. And, in Shanghai, there is a real estate company called Luidi. They invest very massively in Korea. And also, some of the fund managers are looking for Korean companies, which has, I think, that technically speaking, a little ahead of China. And if that is bought by Chinese companies, then it might be good to enhance the technology of China in many areas. So they target it, and the money is expected to flowing into Korea. This is, I think, that working very basically. We have a lot of the potentials to stimulate a bilateral financial cooperation, and that might lead into the RMB internationalization. This is, I think, the first point I like to share with you. Then, what happened after 6 months of RMB and Korea won direct trading in last December 1st. So now we are in May, so it has passed already 6 months. As you know, that there are very difficult to have the good access to the very recent financial, I think, statistics. First of all, RMB deposit. What happened in the last year? RMB deposit in Korea was around 19 billion, but you see the very recent. In April, end of the April, it was still remain around the same, I think, amount. This is one, and then we moved to the RMB trading in FX market. This is not, the updated numbers. Before the December, it was less than 1 billion daily basis, but it is, I think, increased to almost 3 billion a day in current days. So it has also, I think, very it seems very dynamic, but as a matter of fact, not so impressive. And lastly, in international trade, bilateral trade, how much is the share of the RMB settlement? It is less than 2% still. So the second point is, after having 6 months, we are still seeking a new balance of, I think, one and RMB trades, RMB, I think, a cooperation in financial areas together. And what happened? Why, my interpretation, this is the third point I'd like to share with you, why it seems like that way. First of all, the deposit areas of the RMB, I think, general public is still taking US dollars, evaluate US dollars better compared to the RMB. And recent, 5-6 months, the US economy is booming and also a very strong US dollars, right? Relatively, the RMB is, in some sense, have less, I think, attractiveness to the general public. This is, I think, first interpretation of myself. And the second, many trading companies, why they don't settle in US dollars? You see, a total trade volume between Korea and China is taking almost 25% of total Korean trade. Then it has a potential, maybe trade settlement in RMB might be increased to almost 10%, but it is less than 2%. Why it is like that way? Receiving RMB in Korea by trading companies, they don't put that money into the, some of the safekeeping areas. They are investing more, but the channels to invest that money to somewhere, it doesn't have any good, a recirculating RMB back to somewhere, which is, giving more profit to the trading companies. So it, as Sun Li-jian, Professor Sun already explained, it has liquidity problems and also, I think, some hedging of the FX risk related to RMB. And this is the second. The third one is institutionally banking sectors. They are not willing to take the RMB as their deposit because in Korean banks are receiving RMB as deposit, then where to use them? So Korean government, a couple of times, already mentioned that some of the Korean banks already incorporated in China. If they use that RMB deposit in Korea, they can use it in China, maybe the offshore RMB. But if they have better treatment for that one, then it might be good, I think, mechanisms to use more of it. But the institution is not, Chinese government is not allowing that yet, and also Korean government has some problems in doing like that way. So very recently, Korean government is how to stimulate, facilitate the RMB international, not necessarily RMB internationalization, bilateral financial cooperation better. And I think, window guidance type, I think some of the Korean government officials officially talk to the trading companies to why not trade, your trade. For example, Samsung Electronics or the postcodes, they have a lot of, volumes of trading with China and let them settle in RMB. But you see that the government cannot have, a final, message to them because, it is all related to profit making of the individual companies. And Korea is a market economy, not a government guided economy no more. So I think, it has a lot of problems. So overall, I think this kind of interpretation could be possible, but unfortunately, we have only half a year to have that kind of new institution. So the further evaluation and how we develop the RMB and Korean won direct settlement as a driving forces for bilateral financial cooperation. I think that is all the responsibility of general public and also companies and the government. Thank you very much. This is my